Hello guys, in this video I want to train you guys on BTP CPI Content Modifier. I want to give you end-to-end information how to use this content modifier with examples. Also show you some real-time scenarios, some tips, challenges and how to overcome those challenges. For this training, I'm using a BTP trail account and Postman tool. Before I start, I request you guys to subscribe to my channel and like my video. So here is the BTP trial account and I already installed this subscribe this integration suite and so let me show you guys how to create a new integration flow with content modifier. So let's go here and click add, select integration flow and just give in any names, content modifier test, and then click on add. So just click on add new artifacts and click on edit. So you go to message transformers and select content modifier. So before I proceed on this in content modifier, just want to give you some brief information. Basically, content modifier means it's nothing but you're trying to modify the content which is coming to this integration flow. That means you're changing the inbound message. So using this content modifier, you can not only change the inbound message, but you can also change the headers and exchange properties. So let's go here. You can see that after we selected this content modifier, you can see three four tabs here. One is general information, so you can say whatever some meaningful name you can give what you're doing in this content modifier. And then in the message header you can see that there is a add button here to add a message header. So when you are adding, so there are two actions here. One is create, another one is delete. Basically mostly we'll be most of the times we'll be using the create action, and the delete action is something like sometimes if there is any restrictions for sending this message to the external systems and you don't want to have like that header, then that time you can delete that. And in another scenario is that say for example there is a big inbound message, you have temporarily stored that either in message header or exchange property, and after using that you want to delete that variable which is stored the incoming message or something, something like which is a big message and which is like you don't want no longer needed. So that time you could delete those things. So, and here if you look at the source types, there are so many source types here. So first one is the constant, second is expression, global variable, header, local variable, number range, property, and XPath. So I already have some sample integration flows where we are going to see how we are going to use select the source types and what are the things we had to fill for each source types, like source values, data types, and default values. That we will see that in the other integration flows. So for exchange property also we can do the same things whatever we could do here, same things we could do here. And in the message body, if you look at in the message body, there are two types here: constant and expression. Constant means like you're not going to use any headers or exchange property variables or body variables, nothing. It's just simply whatever the constant, say for example, root, something like um, something like sample, like there is nothing here. If you are using the expressions, right? So that times then you have to say, oh, sorry, then you have to express, you have to add those expressions whatever you want to include here. For example, for this incoming message, if you want to just add the root element, you could do this here, and then you can say dollar bracket in dot body. So this is how, based on this type, you can do the things. So if it is a constant, you cannot add the expressions. When you select the expressions, then only you can add these expressions to select the header variables, exchange property variables, and body. So like I mentioned in the beginning, so we have this integration suite here where we are going to build the integration flows, and we are going to test these integration flows using the Postman tool. So here is the tool which we are going to use for testing our integration flows. So let me go back to our integration flows. So in this integration flow, you can see that we have the content modifier, couple of content modifiers, and we are using the HTTPS adapter for sending the message to this integration flow. So you can, let's go back and see what we have here. Okay, so in this content modifier, you can see that I added a couple of headers, and the first one is the content type. I selected the constant type. When you select the constant type, and you can enter whatever the value you want to use for the constant. And for the next one is inbound message, and this is the, I selected the expression. So when you select the expression, then you have to specify that you have to enter the expression value here. And here what we are trying to do is we are trying to store the inbound message into this header variable. This is like sometimes when you are working on real-time projects, so sometimes you have to store the inbound message and then create a new message for the subsequent uh, flow or something, like for the external systems for validating some information. And then after that you have to put this message back to your integration flow. So for that reason, sometimes this um, this is very helpful. And the next one is the next header variable. We are using the source type as X type. So when you are getting a inbound message in XML format, so that times you could specify the path whatever you want to extract. And when you are extracting the information, that you have to specify that path, as well as when you are using the XPath, the data type for the XPath is mandatory. So for this, like for example here, I specify this XPath, and then and I'm specified that this is a string variable, Java string variable. And so next one, in the exchange property, I created a new variable called timestamp, and I selected the expression here. And here I'm trying to capture the system date, and I mentioned the format, the date format which I needed here. And in the message body, so in the message body, if you could see, let me show you the guys in the edit mode so that you can see clearly. So you could see that, I this is the incoming message, and for this incoming message, what I'm doing is I'm modifying that by ordering the root element order, and also I added a company name and trying to get the company name from the header variable. So this is how you have to mention the expressions. So dollars bracket and header dot cname, and this is for accessing the property. For the property you have to say property, for the header you have to say header, and the for body in dot body. So there is a difference between the header variables and the time variables here. Sorry, exchange properties. The exchange properties variable names are case sensitive. Say for example, if you look at here, the the variable name is in lowercase, whereas in message body, if you look at, I mentioned T as a cap, and like I put T as in the caps. So what will happen is in the runtime it says that hey, I'm not able to find this, so it is not going to add the timestamp here. So let's see what is going to happen here. I'm going to save this integration flow, and then I'm going to deploy this. Let's wait for the deployment. So it is successfully deployed. For testing this integration flow from the postman, what I did was I created a collection and the request here, and this is the URL, and URL you can get it from here. And when you go to the monitors and the integration flow, this is the first one. Let's see, should be something like this. It will come by, yeah, it will come here. It takes some time sometimes, but basically, you know, the endpoint, you can get the endpoint here. And let's go to Postman. So in the Postman, I pasted that URL here. In the authorization, I selected username and password, which I created using the service key. And if you guys need more information how to create the service key, just comment and I can provide that information for you. And here you can see that this is a body which is in XML format. I'm trying to send this. Let's execute this one. So here is the output, and you can see that we got the header variable information, and but when you see the time, we are missing the time because we entered the variable name in not like I said, exchange property variables are case sensitive. So whatever the name you gave in the exchange property, you have to specify the same name, otherwise it won't come. So let's go back to integration flow and fix that. So this is the one. Click on edit, go to the content modifier. I think this is the one. It says header, here, enter it lowercase, and then save this one and then deploy. Yes. Okay, wait for the deployment. Successfully deployed. Then go back to your postman and then execute this one. Here we go. Since after we corrected the exchange property name, now it is able to add the timestamp here. So now let's go back to our integration flow and see what we're doing in the second modifier. Okay, so in the second content modifier, I just want to, you know, um, specify how to use the other source type. For example, here I'm using the source type number range. So number range, I also use the header because CNAME is already defined as header in the previous content modifier, which we're trying to access here. So, and same thing in the exchange property. So just specifying like how to use the source type as property. So that means whatever the one which is already there as property or message headers, those things you could access them using the source type as header and property. So timestamp is already defined as property in the previous content modifier. So nothing here. So and next step, maybe I will show you what is number range so that you guys can have some idea. So number range, for adding the number ranges, you have to go to monitor integrations, and here if you scroll down, there is a place called number ranges. There is a tile for that. Click on the tile, and here you can see that I already created multiple number ranges. Basically, if you want to add any number range, you can click add, and then you have to specify the minimum value, maximum value, and the length, and whether you want to rotate these numbers. For example, if it is reached 9999, then you can say that, hey, go back to again, restart from one. So this is how you have to define the number ranges. So let's go back to our integration flows. And then let's go to second example. In the real-time scenarios, the XML format, most of the times, it will have namespace. So in the previous example, integration flow, we saw how to specify the XPATH for the XML file, for the XML data. So here, in this second example, what we are going to do is, we are going to use the XML as the inbound message, which will contain the namespace. When XML contains the namespace, uh, you, you have to do a couple of things. One is, in the integration flow, go to integration flow, runtime configuration, you have to specify the namespace like this. For example, if you have multiple namespaces in your integration flow, you have to specify that by adding the delimiter semicolon. So let's go here, and we already added the namespace, and then in the message header, right, when you are specifying this path, so this is how we have to add. What I do, you know, always I use the some like when you Google search, XPath validator or something, there what you could do, you could enter your XML and then you can enter your XPath. Then it tells you whether whether you're getting the right information or not. So I always recommend you guys use that tool, online tools for the XPath validator, and then copy that when you see that hey you're getting the right value, then use that XPath and add it here. So this is the second example, and let's go. This is already deployed. So let's test this in from Postman. Let's go to Postman. So this is example 2. So here you can see that this XML has namespace, and run this. So basically we're not doing anything, but if you want to try this in the trace mode, you can able to see the value what you how is coming, the XPath variable. So let's go back to integration flow. So this is nothing but in this second example, I just want to give you information about this XML with the namespace, because this is very important. And let's go to let's go to see this local and global variables. So local and global, there are other two types we could use in the content modifier, and those for that what we have to use is we have to use this a, there is a there is a icon here like write variables. So this one you can select from the persistence. You can use this, select these write variables and add it to your integration flow. So in this write variables, go to processing, and here you can specify the name of those variables, and you can specify from where you are extracting that information. For example, here I mentioned both are constants, and then specify the value. And here there's a checkbox. If you select this checkbox, then it will become a global. If you don't select, then it will become a local. So the difference between local and global is local means it is local to just your integration flow. When it is global, then it means that value is available to other integration flows in the same tenant. So here, okay, so here, I'm trying to show you guys how to use local and global variable here. So here we selected the source type as local variable, and here we selected global variable. So we covered XPath, we covered property, we covered number ranges, and now we covered how to use local and global variables, constant expression. So each and everything is covered, because you know this training is end-to-end training. Like want to give each and everything which is there in content modifier, so that next time you don't need to go back ahead and look for this content modifier information. You don't want to need to take any other training. So this training contains everything. So after this one is deployed, so I just want to give you some more information about this local and global variables. And so that's the reason. So this is deployed, and let's go to our Postman and global. We have this request in the Postman. We already copied the end path. And you can see we're using the body XML format. Let's execute it. So the local and global variables, we are adding to the incoming message. So everything is coming. And let's go back to integration flow. I just want to show you guys where you could see those local variables. If you go to integration, monitor integration flows, here there's a tile called variables, and here you could see that my local, my global variables are there, and it is showing that my global variable is visibility is across your integration flows, whereas my local is local to only this integration flow, local underscore global. And let's go back, and there are other couple of things I just want to show you guys so that I can cover everything in this single video. So there is another thing, in the integration flow. Here, sometimes you have to pass the headers to your integration flow. For that, what we have to do is in the runtime configuration, you have to specify the header which you want to allow to your integration flow. For example, here you can see that I mentioned company name. So from the postman, if I pass the if I'm passing this header company name, then it could be accessible in this integration flow. Let's see. Let's go to our postman, and here is the headers, and in the headers you can see that company name is there, ABC LLC, and the body, it's the same body we are passing. And then when you execute, and you can see that the company name, whatever we pass, and we are able to access that in the integration flow, and we were able to add that to the incoming message. So same thing, let's go back to our integration flows. Okay, and same thing, the previous example was sending the header from the outside to your integration flow. Now we'll see we have to do the same thing when you are passing the information headers from one integration to other integration flow. You have to do the same thing. For example, here in this example 2 part 1, what we are doing is we are creating an integration we have the integration flow. In this integration flow, in the message header, we have the company name called company name with value Big3 LLC. And then what we are doing is we are calling the another integration flow, which is example 2 part 2. So when here for example 2 part 2 integration flow, so what we have to do is you have to specify saying that hey, company name, this is the allowed header for this integration flow. So when you're passing that, whatever you define the header there, the headers which you want to consume in this subsequent integration flows, that we have to specify that in the runtime configuration. So let's try this second one from the postman. Okay, so you can see that there are a couple of integration flows for this example, and in the final you can see that we're able to see the header was passed from one integration to second integration flow, and finally we are able to add that here. So let's go back to integration flow. because in the second exam, what do you think we were trying to add that, modify that content modifier, like incoming message by adding the root element and the header. Now let's see what else we have. That's the first thing which we tried to see how to add the content modifier to integration flow, local global, and the next one is XPATH. So let me see, let me go back and show you examples here. So in this example, there are some functions, XPath functions, which we could use. For example, it's all depending on your requirement. Sometimes you need to replace some information after extracting. So there are some functions out there which you could use, and you can specify here like the replace and then XPath and then the values. And what else we have here? Let me see if I'm missing anything. Let me go to our presentation to see if I covered anything, if I need to cover anything here. So we already covered everything, all these source types. We covered each and everything. And just want to specify one more time that XPath, when you're using XPath, the data type is required. And when you're using the local and global variables, you can specify the default values. Say for example, if local variables and global variables are not exist, then the integration flow in the runtime it will take the default values. And this is how you have to specify the expressions, and this is how you can access the header variables, property variables, and the body message. And this is how you can use the content modifier body expressions, and can use the change the incoming message. And final tips are this exchange properties are case sensitive. Make sure that however you declared, like what you have to specify the same uh, name, whether if it is a uppercase, lowercase, make sure that you are entering the same thing, otherwise it won't work. And we already discuss about how to use the XML path, simple XML path, the XML path with the namespace, what do you need to do in the like what things you have to do in the runtime configuration, if it is if the XML contains the namespace, and the final thing is how to pass the headers to integration flows. So these are the expert functions which we already discussed, and this is the some system date formats we could use using the expressions, and different date formats are there based on your requirement. You can specify that, and these are the functions to your expressions. So like you can try to extract specific value. Sometimes you can convert the value to uppercase. Sometimes if you want to know the length of the body, all these things you could use these functions. Okay, finally we are here, and if you like my video and the content, please subscribe to my channel for more and more videos on SAP BTP. My aim is not only give you training but also make you expert in this area by giving real-time scenarios and the issues and the tips. So thank you for watching. See you in next video. Bye.